Welcome to the Wealthy Dentist Podcast, where we explore how top dentists are building incredible businesses. I'm your host, Ward Powell. Let's dive in. Thank you so much, Dr. Chanelle Small. I appreciate
Thank
you
you for
coming
having
in.
me.
Yeah, I
Thank you for
appreciate
having
you
me.
coming in and spending
hmm
time with us and share some of the wonderful information that our audience are bound to receive today.
hmm
I
hmm
want to start off by asking what got you started in the field of dentistry, day
Dentistry.
one? Yeah.
I always liked science. I knew I wanted to be in healthcare. I never wanted to be a physician
Mm.
because I never wanted to deal with telling someone their mother just died, telling someone their father just died. I didn't want to deal with that. I didn't want to deal with hospitals and working overnights. That was one thing. And then with dentistry, I feel like we have a bigger command over the field. With medicine, there's a lot we know, but there's a lot we don't know. We're not God. We try our best, but we're not God. There's a lot we don't know. So I feel with dentistry, I have a better command on the field in what I do and a lot more control over what I do.
Mm, mm. So it's that control piece that you wanted to have. I mean, which gives you versatility, and choices. It's, yeah,
hmm
very important, very important. So you were strong in sciences. You really wanted to do something in sciences, and you found that dentistry was the piece that you figured that was great. So how
Yeah.
long have you been in the field? How long have you been studying this,
I finished
practicing?
dental school in 2007.
Okay.
So 17 years total. After dental school, I did a 2-year residency concentrating in endodontics. So I finished endodontics
Mhm.
2009, so 15 years ago.
Oh, 15 years ago. Awesome. So
hmm
we're looking to get tons and tons of not just wisdom, but the business aspect
Yeah, yeah,
of
yeah.
of
That's what I'm
of
here for.
dentistry. So how
hmm
did you how do you manage, actually balancing the business with your actual practice?
Yeah. I always say owning your own practice is two full-time jobs. Clinical dentistry is one full-time job, and running a business is another full-time job. And for me, I had to make it my business to learn business.
Hmm.
Because when you're in school, you learn how to do the dentistry, which is where you're supposed to learn that. You do the dentistry, you become proficient at that. You don't learn the business aspect of it.
Okay.
So I had the great opportunity to buy this practice. It came to me
Hmm.
as a result of networking. An opportunity came upon me. I had to take advantage of it, but I didn't know about the business. I knew some things, but I knew as an outsider. I didn't know as an insider. So I had to make it my business to learn my business. So the question was, how do you balance things? So for me, I try to keep work at work and home at home. So I don't log in to write notes or do paperwork or anything like that at home from my dental practice. Once I leave for the day, I make sure all my notes are written. I make sure my reports are sent out. I don't log in later on at home because that's just bringing work home. And a lot of people do, and that works for them, and that's okay with them. But I think as a business owner and an entrepreneur, you think about your business so much that it's on your mind already. So the last thing I'm going to do is add more to that already. So when I leave the office, I try to leave the office so that I do have some separation of work and life balance. But it's an ongoing process. You're never going to figure it out. It may never be exactly what you want, but you know your ideal and try to work towards that.
Right, exactly. Nobody's perfect, but I
hmm
love this whole idea of leaving work at work. And when you
hmm
get home, you're at home with your family and whatever other practices that you participate in during your life. It's just so important. I mean, living life
hmm
is important, just as
It is. It
important as,
is.
yeah. Great, great. So what are you finding is most challenging from the business aspect? Because you spent so much time uh, developing your your skill, your clinical skills. So now, okay, now I'm thrust
hmm
into this business. What has been the most
Yeah,
challenging?
it's a lot of factors and a lot of facets to it. You are now a leader,
Hmm.
and you may not have been a leader in this manner before where you are the employer.
Hmm.
There's a difference between being an employer or being a leader and being a boss. There's a big difference.
Mm.
And that's a skill set you may have to learn, you may have to develop. So for you to be a leader, that's one aspect of it. So that can be a challenge because you are now leading people. You have a team, your staff, your employees. You have to value your employees. It's not to say it's my practice, I'm the boss, what I say goes, because people will quit.
True.
They'll walk out the door and don't come back, and they don't even tell you. They may text you if you're lucky and tell you
Yeah.
that they quit. You can't run a business like that. So being a leader is important. So that's one challenge. One other challenge that faces dentistry a lot now, from a financial aspect, is reimbursements from the insurance companies.
Mm.
If you look online, you can look at the stats. The CEOs of all these insurance companies, they're making multiple millions of dollars every
Yes.
year as bonuses and salary. Their
Mm.
profits are in the hundreds of millions of dollars, but they're squeezing and squeezing and squeezing us at the bottom.
Mm.
So that has become very challenging for dentists. A lot of the insurance companies haven't increased their reimbursements in decades. And as you know, everything goes up. You go to the supermarket, what cost one thing last
Inflation,
week
yes.
costs more this week.
Mhm.
So with inflation, it doesn't translate the same for us as dentists. So that is a challenge. That can be a challenge in running a business because it's still a business.
Well said. Well said. I mean, like, if we don't watch uh our practice as we should, it
Mhm.
can very well slip away from us, escape us very easily.
Mhm.
And I
And you
appreciate.
have to keep an eye on things,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to keep an eye on things frequently.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough to say, well, I check in with my accountant once a year,
Mm-hmm.
and check your accounts. You have to be mindful of things on a month to month basis,
Mm-hmm.
quarter to quarter basis, even week to week basis.
Mm. 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 Yeah, and I mean, I'm not necessarily thinking you as a micromanager, but I mean, or the whole idea of being a micromanager in respect to just watching the dollars, but you definitely, as you so eloquently stated, you definitely got to watch those pennies and cents.
Hmm.
You know,
I
it.
think maybe less about being a micromanager overall. Being a leader is not being a micromanager. You have to put the right people in place
Mm-hmm,
and give them the tools that they
mm-hmm,
need to do what they
mm-hmm,
have to do. So
mm-hmm,
you set the expectations,
mm-hmm.
but you hire the right people and put the right people in the right place, and you invest in your people, you pay them well, you treat them well, and you let them do what they need to do.
Wow. So that sounds like a book I read, EOS or something along those lines, the entrepreneurial operation systems. I don't know.
I have to
Did
look
you?
that one up.
Oh, it's called
No,
what is the
I'm not
name of
familiar with
that
that
book?
one. I have to look it up.
It's called Traction.
Oh,
Traction is an excellent book. I can't think of the guy's name right now. I want to say his name, and I know it starts with a W, but I can't think of it.
yes, I'm
Anyway,
familiar with it. I'm familiar with Traction.
excellent.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yes, EOS is an awesome book. I mean, an awesome operational system for entrepreneurs. But it sounds like you're on track, and I don't know where you got that information from.
I read a lot. I read a
Yeah.
lot. I listen
Mm,
to a lot of podcasts. Like I said, I had to make it my business to learn business.
mm,
So I'm a big fan of all the cult classics like
mm,
Profit First by Mike Michalowicz,
mm.
The E Myth
Okay.
Revisited by Mike Gerber,
Hmm.
10x is easier than 2x, Buy Back Your
I
Time,
agree.
Who Not
Oh,
How.
yes. Yes.
Yeah, these are books that I have on audiobook that I've listened to multiple times all the time. Yeah. So I you have to invest in yourself. You have to invest in your
Absolutely.
mindset, your skill
Absolutely.
set,
Mm.
and there's one other thing that I like to invest in. But it's all myself.
Spiritual self.
Yeah.
I can see it and feel it. Thank you
Hmm.
so much for that. Because you do, I mean, where we are, I mean, we have to approach things from a multifaceted position
Yeah.
when we're business people. And
Hmm.
if we're not doing that and then finding some balance with that, with our just our life, period, then I think we're not only doing ourselves a service, but the people that we're working with.
Right.
It is, I mean, it could be a
And then you get
challenge.
burned out and you can't help anyone.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Exactly. So seems so ground in your thought process. That's
Oh,
great.
why, thank you.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. I mean, so easily. I can hear that. I can hear everything that you, I mean, could you share with us that this is not just, I mean, everybody knows it's not easy, but
Mhm.
just just expand on that a little bit for us.
No, it's not easy. It's a learning process. It's a learning process. You have to sometimes you just have to walk by faith and not by sight. Sometimes
Mm,
you have to jump and grow wings on the way down. All these things I keep in mind when as I'm growing and learning and building these things. No one was born knowing these things. You're not born knowing these things.
yes.
But you have to take it step by step. You can't let things overwhelm you. Otherwise, you just be overwhelmed and you can't help yourself. You can't help anyone. It's not easy. It's
Mm,
not easy, but it can be done
hmm hmm And see,
for
you're so,
sure.
yeah, you're determined. So,
Yes.
that thing, I mean, I hear all of this, I see it, I
Hmm.
mean, it's like, okay, all right, I am not in your office. I am not looking at you like, like we normally do in back in the day.
In normal life. Uh-huh.
But I can see it. I can see it. I can hear it. I can feel it too. I mean, so like this is so encouraging. So what have you found has been your most challenging?
One thing I'll put it this way: as you start up as a clinician, you want to save the world, but sometimes the world can't be saved. So in my world, is teeth. Every tooth can't be saved. You try your best, and it's not even that you can't do it, it's that it can't be done. So
Mm,
sometimes a patient may come in and they may have unrealistic expectations on something, and
mhm,
you may want to give it a try, but you
mhm,
have to know and you have to be comfortable and confident in your clinical skills,
mhm,
and be comfortable and confident to say this can't be done, let's stop, let's
mhm,
talk about plan B. Because if not, you're doing the patient a disservice by spending more time, spending more energy, and spending more money on something that's not going to have a good long-term outcome.
mm,
So I tell patients I want my work to be successful. I want to know that if I do something, you're going to have decades out of this tooth. And people may want to save a tooth, which is our first choice, but we have to manage the situation as it presents itself. So I would say one challenge in growing as a dentist is recognizing that and acknowledging that there are limitations not set by us, but there are limitations set by nature. We
that's
can't
right.
do everything, um, because it may not be able to be done, but you have to know how to talk to patients. As you grow in your profession, you'll learn how to talk to patients and you'll be more confident in your clinical skills to relay all that information.
Wow. So then when you're practicing, what have you found that you enjoy doing this particular work the most in your clinical practice? In your as you
Yeah.
practice, what do you find the most joy in this particular procedure over the other? Is
Hmm.
there like any
So
particular procedures that you like over the other?
I consider myself lucky that I found that out early. So in
Hmm.
dental school, we learn how to do everything. We do
Yeah.
dentures, we do cleaning, we do fillings, we do
Mm-hmm.
extractions, you do everything in dental school. You take your license exam and you're a general dentist.
Hmm.
There were enough parts about general dentistry that I liked, but also enough that I didn't like that I decided I wanted to specialize. So I did enjoy the field of endodontics or root canals. So after
Hmm.
dental school is 4 years, I went
Hmm.
to 2 extra years concentrating in root canals. So
Hmm.
for me, my specialty is endodontics. My practice is limited to endodontics.
Hmm.
So for me, I enjoy having a mastery over my craft,
Hmm.
although I'd say within 85% degrees, all teeth are about the same. They are anatomical variations, but they're all within the same range. So
Hmm.
every now and then you do get something out of the box and you're like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, I haven't seen this one before. But I like having a control and mastery over what I do because I think that I can exude confidence because I'm comfortable with what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I can portray that to patients. So when patients come into me, I can be comfortable knowing I'm treating them like the same way I would treat a family member. And if this
Hmm.
were my own case, would I be happy with this own result in my mouth?
Hmm.
So I'm happy that I was able to find that out earlier, and I do like doing what I do with the root canals.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh wow. So wow. I mean, you're doing so much. This whole idea of specializing and
Hmm.
then doing the business part. I mean, how do you bring in the family aspects? Or
Mhm.
is there family involved?
Yes, yes. I have a husband and I have a
Mhm.
2-year-old daughter.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay. Ooh, 2-year-old. Huh?
yeah, I have a 2-year-old. So for me, I start a little bit later. I start at 10 a.m. now.
Mm,
And the reason why is because my nanny comes at 8:30 to the
mm,
house.
mm,
So by the time I get them set up and they kind of get out the door, and then I got to go back and try to get back out the door, it's easier for me to start a little bit later.
mm,
To offset that, I work through lunch.
mm,
Usually I just grab something and go, and that has been helpful for me
mm,
in balancing work because I don't want to just wake up and roll out the door. I try to get breakfast ready. Well, I do get breakfast ready, spend a little time with the baby in the morning so that we do have a little bit of connection time before everyone's out the door for the day. Um, so that's good. One thing that has been helpful, I've incorporated for the past couple of years, I've had virtual assistants. So virtual assistants on a personal level for me, that's been very helpful because it's an extra pair of hands. It's a lot of things that I want to do and I can do, but it may not be the highest and best use of my time. So I
mm.
have virtual assistants that help me out in getting a lot of extra things done. It's an extra set of hands. They're very, very helpful. So for me, I find that to be a cheat code on
That
personal.
is awesome piece
I,
of
I use
information.
them.
Yeah.
I use them personally. My husband and I own some real estate, so both of my VA has been very helpful in my real estate business, other business ventures that I'm in that I do. She does a social media for my dental office, a lot of things. There's personal things.
Oh.
Things I try to emphasize to people: don't go to work and make $500 an hour and go home and do $10 an hour tasks when you can what's the word, delegate. You can delegate.
Hmm.
Another
Hmm.
book, you're familiar with the 4 Hour Work Week.
Yeah, I have not read it, but yes, I'm
It's a
very
good one.
familiar.
Yes, there's a
Yes.
section on virtual staffing, and he goes through principles. The first thing is you automate, then you
Hmm.
delegate and eliminate. So you automate everything you can,
Hmm.
then you delegate, and your delegation is going to be to your virtual assistant,
Hmm.
and then you
Hmm.
eliminate what you can.
Hmm. Kind of what Wickman, that's his name. Wickman, that's kind of like he talks about those areas, and then the whole idea of putting the right person in the right seat.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, yes, you're so right. You don't want to do like, like you said, making thousands of dollars an hour in one place and then come back do $5 an hour work in
Yes, yeah,
another
yeah.
place when you can
And you can
delegate.
get double the amount of things done. And depending on the type of your business, you could have a
Yes,
24-hour a day staff.
yes.
And you can do better than someone that's trying to do it themselves, everything
Hmm.
themselves. And it's
Hmm.
not that you can't. So I'll give you an example. This episode may air after this. I want to get my husband golf lessons for
Okay.
Father's Day.
Oh,
So my virtual assistant, I let her know what I want to do. I said, I'm looking for golf courses, maybe within 20, 25 minutes driving of the house.
yeah.
And this is what I'm looking for. I want to rent the clubs, let me know the pricing, availability, date, schedule, all that kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
So she's going to do that research for me. Of course I can do it. I can do that myself,
Yeah,
but I can be doing dentistry, which is the highest and best use of my time. I could be spending time with my daughter at the park. That's arguably the highest and best use of my time when I have someone else that
absolutely.
is able to help me out personally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For pennies on a dollar. That's
Yes.
great. That is so great. And that's a little tidbit I hadn't even thought about.
Yes, that's a
virtual
good one.
assistants I've had. But to think of it from a personal standpoint, I never really thought
Yes.
about it. It was always
Personal and
business.
business. It's whatever you want. Personal and business. You can hire one for business, one for personal. Depends on what your needs are.
Yeah, see, and I'm sure a lot of the audience are going to like that idea because if I know I like it,
I hope so. Yes,
yeah, oh, absolutely,
I've helped a few classmates and colleagues see the light in
yeah,
this.
right. Oh, that's so wonderful. So, what
Yes.
has been your biggest challenge that you see, not only for yourself but for the dental industry going forward?
One one big challenge that's facing the industry right now, and it's been over the past creeping in maybe over the past 10 years, is the corporations creeping in to ownership of dentistry.
Like
So it's
DSOs or something.
DSOs, yes. So it's
Uh-huh.
less of the small time dentist. He or she has been there for 30 years. You go
Hmm.
to them your whole life. Now there are
Yeah.
a lot of DSOs, and with
Hmm.
DSOs,
Hmm.
they're corporations, and we're
Hmm.
all business owners, yes, but they push the wrong things a lot of times. And I'm not saying
Hmm.
they're all unethical, but they push
Right.
the wrong things. They push
Hmm.
production. They
Hmm.
don't push uh they don't push you to be a good clinician. They push you to produce. So you may not be comfortable doing this difficult wisdom tooth extraction, but they put it in your schedule anyway
Mm.
because they don't want to refer it out. And
Hmm.
that makes it a difficult position for the clinician to be in and a difficult position for the patient. And it's not fair
Yes.
to the patient if you
Mm-mm.
are there, you're opening your mouth, you think the person is fully competent to do what you're entrusting them to do, but you're only on their schedule because they don't want to refer it out because it's production. Just
Wow.
recently, maybe a week or two ago, Walmart closed all of their dental offices. Walmart had several dental clinics in the stores, maybe for about 2 or 3 years now, not too long. But they realized that they could not sustain their business model, which was low prices, and they become a race to the bottom. And
Mm.
it's not about charging or overpricing, but you have to maintain solvency, which is a fancy way of saying you need to pay your bills and you need to pay your staff. So they were racing to the bottom, and it didn't work out for them. They closed all their dental offices, and it's very unfortunate because they had staff, they had doctors, they had administrative people, and those people are all unemployed right now.
Oh, that is so unfortunate. I mean, thousands upon thousands of people employed, and all of a sudden they
Yeah,
have
and
no
they
job.
closed their dental, yeah. But DSOs creeping in. All DSOs are not bad, no, but
Right. Hmm.
some of them it's a lot of smoke and mirrors for the clinicians, for the practices they buy. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and then for the patients, it's just a never-ending rotation of staff, never-ending rotation of doctors every time you go there. Um, so that is a challenge for the dental industry.
Yeah. Well, then, to your point, I mean, it would say that it's very easy. One could say that it will be at least an ethical question for the dentists that want to sell to do just as much vetting to um, the DSOs that they might bring
Mhm.
in to help them or want them to purchase your 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 organization, or than it is for them to actually, you know, quit. I mean, stop doing what they're doing. I mean, like they have to. I mean, not only yes, you want to look out for yourself, but it will. I would think the question would be if I'm going to sell it to someone, at least they have to have some kind of principle or philosophy that I can associate myself with.
You would think. I mean, I can't speak for everyone who sold their practice. I can't speak for them.
Yeah, yeah,
But you
right.
would
I
think that, yeah.
understood. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, I understand. I understand. So what has been what are some of the challenges that you've seen in your practice uh in the past, and anything that you can share with us in that area?
Sometimes staffing can be difficult.
Okay.
I've been very fortunate that I have had long-term staff. So I've had
Mhm.
staff for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, which is a good amount of time. I've been here 12 years
Okay.
in my own practice, and
Mhm.
average my staff members, team members, they're 5 years plus, and they all move on to different opportunities. Several have gone back to school, one moved out of state, but
Mhm.
sometimes hiring new staff can be a challenge.
Yeah.
uh, just all around. I think it's been a change after COVID
Hmm.
that I've noticed, and a lot of clinicians have noticed. It's been a little more challenge to get dedicated staff members and team members.
I can see that. So
Yeah.
then retaining is
Not even retaining, just recruiting.
recruiting, attracting, huh?
Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Okay.
And also with the DSOs, they can offer a more attractive package sometimes because also they're a lot of times they have so many offices that they can be more convenient. Maybe they're closer to your home, maybe they're closer to a highway or something, so that can be a little more attractive to someone. But I definitely have noticed a difference in the hiring market in the past
Hmm.
couple of years.
Yeah, and I mean, I had conversations with other dentists that says that a lot of them they found the DSOs as being, I'm not like you said, all DSOs are not created equal, but there are a lot of them that have, pretty much revolving doors. People are not
Hmm.
staying, you
Yeah,
know?
unfortunately.
Yeah, wow, wow. You can find yourself in somewhat of a trap, as you mentioned, the people from Walmart found at an opportune moment. So the strategies, what kind of strategies that you found that's most beneficial in the business for you?
Uh, Running a lean practice.
Hmm.
When I say lean, I mean you don't have to buy every new thing that comes out on the market. You don't be cheap. You don't want to be cheap and buy cheap materials and no name brand things.
Right.
No, you
Yeah.
need to be quality. But one thing that they mentioned in the book Profit First,
Hmm.
once a year or even every couple of months, kind of print out your bank statement and go through every single line item and look to see if there's a place you can improve upon something. So maybe there's an insurance that you have that you really don't use anymore. Maybe you can adjust the premium or increase the deductible, maybe something like that. Maybe you have cable and you realize we don't really watch the TV. Maybe we can switch to a regular plan.
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes there are hidden fees in places and you didn't realize maybe you're paying for something and you have duplicate services. You're paying for two different things and they
Hmm.
both offer the same thing. You don't realize that you're paying for something twice.
Hmm.
So I think running a lean practice has
Hmm.
been very helpful.
Hmm.
Um, this sounds counterintuitive, but paying staff well has been helpful because then people are able to support you and you can do more dentistry if you have a support team. You
Mm.
can't do dentistry running around like crazy. You can't
Yes.
because you'll be burnt, you'll be tired, you'll be burnt out, and patients will see it. Patients will
Mm.
see that you're running around like crazy, which is not a
Mm.
good thing.
Mm.
So, being lean has been helpful because that's how you help to save money to build wealth, to save money to do more with later on.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
Sometimes you end up with equipment, you're in a lease. I have learned through making mistakes to try to buy equipment right out, or any vendor, if there's anything or any service, just pay for it if you can, because when you get in a lease, you always lose out. You're paying
Mm.
month after month after month, and when you do the math, you're paying for something three times over.
Hmm.
And then if there's an issue, your lease is up, there's no support, and then you have to buy a new one of whatever it is. So that was one thing I learned the hard way. Get to avoid getting into leases and contracts. If you can do a month to month, do it. Um, because a lot of companies they want to tie you in and then they answer your calls when they need you. And then once you sign the contract, they're nowhere to be found. So I did learn that the hard way to try to buy equipment outright, try to avoid long-term contracts. Um, if you can evaluate your services. Just because you use one service doesn't mean you have to stay with them forever. If there's services lacking or it's changed over the years, look for someone else.
Mm. Mm. So what kind of philosophy uh do you basically follow to make sure you're on the right track with in values to make sure that you're on the right track as you move through your career?
Yeah, I try to surround myself with people that are doing what I'm doing and are ahead of where I am and where I want to be,
Mhm. Good.
because that's important. Because you may like someone and they may be a great friend and they can hang out and do brunch, but they may not be where you want to be professionally. So that may not be the person you ask advice
Hmm.
from. So I've
Hmm.
learned that you have to seek advice from people who have your best interests in mind
Hmm.
and people that are qualified to give you advice on what you're asking.
Hmm.
So I've always made sure to surround myself with people that I call movers and shakers, people that, can bring you new ideas and you can share ideas and are forward thinking,
Hmm.
less stagnant people, more forward thinking people.
Hmm.
Mentors, invaluable to me over the years, too many to name. I would not be in a position that I'm in at all if it were not for mentors and people guiding me along the way. um, Reaching back as you go forward. So I have dental students that come to my office every now and then. Whenever they call,
Right.
I say yes and never say no.
Hmm.
To shadow, ask me questions, text me whatever you need, because I'm happy to help share what I can with the next person coming up behind me.
Mm. That's that's
Um,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
investing in yourself,
Hmm.
continuing education is an investment. It's not cheap.
Right.
It's an investment, but the earlier you learn something, the more you can use it. So if you wait 5 years to take a class, you're going to start learning something 5 years from now. Whereas you learn it now, you can incorporate it for longer. So you can capitalize upon what you learned faster the more you kind of learn and start to do and grow. And it helps you be a more sophisticated clinician and sophisticated dentist
Yes.
versus, basic. There's nothing wrong with that. And that works for some people, but you have to invest in yourself to be a more sophisticated person, sophisticated clinician, sophisticated investor.
Mhm. As they say, fail fast in business, right? Fail
Yeah,
fast,
fail
learn
fast and
fast. I
fail
mean,
forward.
right. Oh, wow, wow. So great, so much great information. And you mentioned the whole idea of mentorship.
Mhm.
Um, who have you found that, I mean, in your career that I mean, if you can name if you like,
Oh, too many
have
to name. Too
oh
many to
mentor
name.
that mentored you.
Too many to name.
Okay.
I'd say too many to name.
Hmm.
That's one. And also sometimes you just get bits and pieces and nuggets from people. They may not be a
Yeah.
long-term mentor, but
Yes.
they may be helpful for one specific portion. So, for example,
Hmm.
if you're buying a practice, there may be one person that can guide you through that.
Hmm. Yes.
Let's say, you have a baby and you're a new mom.
Hmm.
There may be someone else that's going to guide you through that transition point.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
seeking out and surrounding yourself with this type of people is it's key in any field.
Hmm. Hmm. So then, what type of habits or routines did
Mm,
you find that you do every day, no matter what?
Good question. I try to do something. I try to push the needle forward every day because you can be busy and not productive. And we that happens a lot. I do the same thing too, where you're busy, busy, busy all day long, but you didn't get to do the main things you wanted to do.
Hmm.
So I try to move the needle forward every day. I
Hmm.
recently, maybe last year, a year and a half ago, I read the book called 12-Week Year.
Mm.
So are you familiar with that one? That's a good one.
Yeah. I have this little, I don't know, this little app that I listen
Yeah.
to that talks about all of the leading books, and I heard about that book. I have not read that one. I'm
Yeah,
old fashioned. I like to tear into my books. I like smelling my books. I
yes,
want
I agree. Yes, I agree. But audiobooks and
I
iPads
know,
will
save
open up a new
time.
world.
Yeah.
You just have to. I used to travel and take 20 pounds of books with me. And I'm like, why are you walking around with these big books? Get an iPad and you
Right.
have all your books in
Yeah.
your hand and your headphones and
Right.
go. But
Right.
I understand. I agree.
Yeah.
But just give it a try with the Audible and you can just get so much more done,
Yes, I
especially if you're
agree.
busy.
Totally. Yes.
You can be
Yeah.
driving, you can be doing laundry and have the AirPods in. I find you may not be at 100% retention. You may
Yeah,
be at
that's what I
80%.
was having problems with. Yeah, the
Well,
retention
you
piece.
may be at 80%, and then you listen to it again. And
Yeah,
then you got 80
yeah,
plus 80.
yeah.
But
Well, yeah, I hear you totally.
back to your
You have
original,
to listen to it over and over again, though. Go ahead. I'm
you
sorry.
mentioned habits. So with the 12-week year, I started doing a weekly accountability meeting. So every
Hmm.
Tuesday at 7 a.m., I have a weekly accountability meeting. So that's been very helpful. That's more of a weekly routine, not
Yeah,
daily.
yeah.
But that's been very helpful and instrumental because if I have a week where I'm not moving the needle forward, I say,
Mm,
okay, I can't keep saying the same thing every week. I can't keep
mm,
saying I didn't get my things done this week. I can't go
mm,
back. So
mm,
that's been very helpful for me.
mm,
I try to schedule downtime. You have to schedule vacation time and
mm,
downtime
mm.
because you need time to just think and clear your brain. And ideas will come to you. Ideas will come to you when you least expect it, but you can't be overworked and expect to get good ideas and expect to grow your business and even grow as a person. If you're overworked, you're working 12 hours a day, every day, 5 days a week or 6 days a week. I used to work 6 days a week. I've been there, done that. It sounds good and the money's good, but that's not a long-term plan. It's not sustainable long term. So scheduling downtime, I haven't really since I opened my practice, I haven't really done long 2 week vacations. I couldn't even tell you the last time I did a 2 week vacation. I don't think ever since ever, to be honest. But week and a half I consider long. But I used to do a lot of 4 day and 5 day weekends, which are short. That I always say I want to do 5 to 6 days. Once COVID started, then I did not travel as much for, as most people did for quite some time, at least a little while, 2 years or so before we
Mhm.
were really flying and just kind of traveling regularly.
Hmm.
And now we're kind of picking back up. Now also I have a baby, so she flies and she does great on a plane, but it's a lot of energy to travel with a 2-year old. So
Totally understand.
we don't do long trips as much. My husband and I used to do long trips all the time. We've been to Switzerland, we've been to Japan, we've been to all over Europe, we've been to Asia. But now those flights, though that time is on hold for now. So it's just a little bit too long to fly with a 2-year old for
Yeah,
me. But
agreed.
scheduling the downtime is important physically
Mm.
because dentistry is physically demanding.
It is. It is.
It
Do
is.
you?
It's
Oh,
physically demanding and just you need mental rest.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you find yourself visiting the chiropractor on a regular basis?
I used to. I
Uh-huh.
used to, and I need to go back to be honest. I used to um several years ago,
Mm-hmm,
but I was living, I moved, so she was far away. So it wasn't able to continue going to her and I just
mm-hmm,
fell out of practice.
mm-hmm.
But exercise, important, stretching, yoga, hot yoga, all these things are important for us as a dentist. Yes.
I would say everybody.
Everybody.
Right.
But we
What
are
you just
physically
said, oh
demanding.
man, I like it all.
Us is physically demanding and it's repetitive movements. It's going to be
Uh-huh.
the same muscles that you're straining and stressing every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is that the yoga piece that you just mentioned? Oh,
Yeah.
you referring to? Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I try to protect myself. I wear um, what do you call it? They're made for musicians and concert goers. Noise reduction earbuds. I do
Mm-hmm.
wear those.
Mm-hmm.
I try to make sure my posture is as good as possible,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't always have good posture and position and ergonomics.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yes.
your life as a career will be your life as a dentist will be very short if you have health problems and muscle problems and back problems. Your career will be very short.
That's profound. That's profound and kind of humbling, if you will. You know, all that work you put in and you don't take care of that part, it can be very short. So
Yeah.
have you thought of or have you already put yourself brought in an associate when you do start taking when you do take these days off and I guess so that you don't have the idea of having to be at work when you're somewhere
Mhm.
else far, far away?
Yeah, I have had associates in the past. I have had
Mm-hmm,
two associates in the past over the years, and it worked out very well.
mm-hmm,
Um, my last associate was probably in 2019,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
probably 2019, 18, 19. And then when 2020, when COVID hit, the offices were closed. So then that was actually worked out well. So I didn't have an extra person at that point in time, but the office was closed for quite some time.
mm-hmm,
But yes, I have had associates and
mm-hmm.
that can work out really well.
Hmm. So what do you find so when you look for an associate, do you look at uh I mean I'm obvious, but this question can be obvious, but I just want to ask anyway. So you have your specialty.
Mhm.
Do you like vary your specialty with the associate, or do you want the associate to kind of lean a little bit towards what you're doing so that those people that come in actually know that one of their specialties is to do,
Right.
exactly what
For
you do.
me, if I'm hiring an associate, it would be an endodontist as well,
Okay.
not a
Okay.
different specialty. Yeah.
Okay, okay, all right, all right, all right. So yeah, that's super important because I was wondering how does that work? I mean, uh,
Now, there are multidisciplinary practices
okay,
that have multiple specialists under one roof,
yes,
but my practice is limited to endodontics. It
that's
simplifies
right.
things
You did
and
mention
it
that.
makes it yeah, it's
Yeah,
easier for me.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, okay, okay. All right. So I mean, yeah, this is moving along very quickly.
Mhm.
Actually, we went through almost 50 minutes of this, and you're just keeping it real interesting and exciting as we move forward. So looking forward, what's upcoming? What's some of the new trends and innovations that you've noticed?
Yeah, there's so many new things coming up and every time you think you don't even know what they're going to think of next, there's
Mm,
something next that they're thinking of.
Mm.
So that's good. The good thing about dentistry is that we have our foundations.
Mm-hmm.
So there's same principles that have been tried and true for 100 years, but we can innovate upon these.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing that's good. So for example, now a lot of dentists are moving towards having 3D imaging in their offices, the cone beam x-ray. So that opens up a whole new world of things that you would not have been able to see with 2D x-rays. For years and years, you've been doing root canals and dentistry with flat two-dimensional x-rays.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have the cone beam, we're seeing so much more. We're finding more dentistry where there's areas where you couldn't make a diagnosis before because you couldn't see what was going on. And then you do a 3D x-ray, the infection is huge, but you couldn't see it before. So I do like that. I am excited about seeing more in dentistry, and being able to utilize the technology that we have, and excited about new technology that I can't even think of at this point, what they're going to think of next.
Mm. So that 3D imaging that you're referring to, I mean, is that like that big camera that you take a
It's
picture?
it's it's a machine where you stand up and it rotates around your head,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
takes maybe about 3 or 4 minutes to populate the images, and you can see a tooth or an area of the mouth in 3 dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very helpful for surgery if you're having wisdom teeth out. It's
Mm-hmm.
very helpful because you can see exactly where the tooth is. You can see exactly where the roots are in relation to the nerve. There's a nerve that runs right down here,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to stay away from that nerve. So
Mm.
that is very helpful in surgery when you're doing implants. It's very helpful to see the height and the width of the bone.
Mm-hmm.
When you have areas infection and you want to check for healing, it's immensely helpful.
Mm. Mm. Wow, very insightful. So now, what are you envisioning for the future in the dental practice arena and patient care? You know, you talked a bit about office management and um,
Mhm.
other areas. What do you? I mean, what are some of the things that you're seeing now with respect to the patient care in particular?
Yeah. As far as dentistry, I mean, just continued growth. Um, the materials that we use have changed and become so sophisticated. So sometimes some veneers, they look like your natural teeth, you can't even tell. Some
Okay.
implants and some crowns, they look just like your natural teeth, you can't even tell.
Hmm.
People that have been in accidents and maybe had gunshot wounds to the face or big,
Yeah.
massive oral cancers,
Hmm.
they can be repaired, maybe not to be perfection, but much improved over the past years. So that's exciting to see how we can help people in that respect, to just have a more natural looking smile and more natural function. And as dentistry becomes easier for us as clinicians, it's easier for us to treat patients. So where you may have someone that some work we couldn't have done years and years ago, now there's new bone grafting materials and mini implants. We can help people to obtain and attain optimal oral health easier than we can have before.
Mm.
And this makes it
Wow.
easier for patients. I have patients that are 60 years old and they say, "Oh my God, I had a root canal 40 years ago and it was like night and day." And I'm like, "Of course it's like night and day. We've had 40 years of research, 40 years of innovations." So for my patients, when you come in, once I get you numb, I know you don't have to worry about anything.
Mm. So there was something, I don't know, some kind of process that's used that's new, I guess it's innovative,
Mhm.
where you can actually do the extraction without the, what do you call it, the anesthesia. Is that true?
Extractions without anesthesia?
You got to have
No.
extract. You okay? Okay.
Yes.
I'm definitely. Well, there was some kind of process. It's some kind of process that I'm thinking about that I'm not really hitting it right now. So
Yeah, get back to me on that. But I 100% doubt you want
yeah,
an extraction without
right,
anesthesia. Hmm.
right. Maybe I have it totally twisted.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
can think about that
definitely,
one.
yeah, yeah. So now, what would be your piece of advice that you would give to the young, aspiring, wealthy dentists? I mean, what would be something that that you can get that they can actually?
Invest in yourself,
Hmm.
invest in high quality continuing education,
Hmm.
live as lean as you can, save money, and then start to have your money work for you. You need to
Hmm.
invest.
Mm.
So, real estate is my investment of choice, but you
Hmm.
have to start investing, and the earlier the better, and the sooner the better.
Mm. Excellent, excellent. And then let me just say thank you so much for visiting us today and giving
Thank you
that
for the invitation.
that wonderful information that I'm sure a lot of our audience, our listeners, are going to love. Uh, if someone wanted to contact you for, whether it's,
Yeah.
as a clinician or just get some general advice on some of the things that you mentioned during this podcast, what would that be? Or how would
Yeah,
they
the
get in
best
touch with
way,
you?
yeah, email Dr. Small at midtownendodontics.com. I'll send it to you so you can link it in the show notes.
Okay.
That
Okay.
would be a good way to contact me.
Okay. Okay. Any last minute comments that you'd like to make before we
Yeah, it's a
sign off?
it's I've hopefully that I've given you a lot of nuggets here. I know the rest of your episodes have a lot of nuggets. I'm looking forward to listening to it. I hope that this will reach a lot of the younger clinicians so that you can start building wealth. Your money is worth more now than it will ever be in the future. You have to put your money to work.